Chapter 198 to 200. Anko Midarashi despondently walked through the main gate of Konoha, briefly stopping in front of the booth with the gate guards who looked at her inquisitively before asking some questions and telling her to sign some papers. Honestly, Anko was glad when they let her go to report to the Hokage 10 minutes later. Asking me questions about my mission. Who the heck do these little shits think they are? The Hokage? Anko angrily thought. She was a bit too fed up these days as she could no longer lie to herself and see Konoha as her home. Because of that blunt realization, more and more flaws and small intricate traps became apparent to her senses. It was not like she didn't know about them, but more like she refused to believe people did it out of malice toward her. But now, for example, the gate guards. The position of a gate guard might seem boring, and it really is, but it is also a very prestigious one. Not everybody can be relegated to the duty of a gate guard, and those that are usually there for a long time. It is usually an accomplished chunin with high combat ability, good track record, and the person also must be highly trusted and known in the village. The gate guards have quite a leisure duties, sitting all day near the gate and checking the arrivals and comings of people, but they also must train regularly and have checkups on their skills. The second their skills start to deteriorate, the gate guard would lose his position. After all, being a gate guard means they are the very first in the line of unexpected attack on the village, or the very first people who can spot an infiltrator. And yet, these supposedly high-ranking and splendid chunins who are awarded the positions of the gate guards show a complete dismissal of the protocols when it comes to me. Heck, do they think I would blab about my mission to them? Anko seethed as she marched her way through the villages, the civilians and ninjas alike getting out of her way the second they spotted her stormy expression. It was not like the gate guards acted rudely. They were always polite and good to her. That was why it hurt Anko so much. She thought them to be her friends. After a very thorough retrospective, Anko came to a single realization. Gate guards were always the good guys in her books. Kind, polite, always joking. But then she realized that every single time she came, they asked, always offhandedly, something about her mission.
Every damn time.
That's not how concerned friends behave. It was simply a trap. The only thing that saved her from falling into this pitfall was, much to her shame, Orochimaru's teaching about when to keep her mouth shut. The only good thing the bastard taught her. The problem with their behavior was quite simple. When a ninja arrives in the village after completing a mission, he cannot say anything about the mission. After all, he cannot know what would the Hokage deem as classified information. If Anko said something about the mission, and then the Hokage decided it was classified, it would not be the two friendly gate guards who would have lost their heads for spreading secrets. It would have been her. That's why the protocols are ironclad in this. One never reveals parts of the mission before the Hokage declares it finished and decides if some parts of it are supposed to be classified. After that, the non-classified parts are all free game and most likely discussed in pubs to get some bragging rights by exaggerating them. That's why it never really struck her as odd that the two gate guards always asked for information about her missions. After all, they were just fishing for some new rumors, no? Well, according to Tsunade, apparently not. Gate guards are maybe the only two chunin rank people in the whole village who have these protocols drilled into their head the most since they deal with it on a daily basis. Sadly, once Anko considered her memories and experiences from a different perspective, they mostly confirmed what Tsunade told her. Anko spent 2 days with Tsunade and Rei, but these days brought her so many shocking revelations she was exhausted when they parted their ways. Although, she did learn a whole lot about village politics and clan politics. After all, she had to pay Tsunade's price, and for that, she needed to know certain things. Anko involuntarily smiled at how right Lady Tsunade was. The things she wanted from Anko, she really didn't mind doing. As Anko thought about these things, she didn't even realize how fast she arrived in front of the Hokage Tower. I guess, it's time to face the old man. With a small frown, she entered. You said 4 of Orochimaru's subordinates ambushed you, and when you were about to be killed, Tsunade saved you? Hiruzen asked in a slightly miffed tone. He sent Anbu to the fire capital with orders to bring Tsunade back to Konoha, but they returned with empty hands. Lots of colorful words from the daimyo at Hiruzen's person, and yes, that was something that worried Hiruzen greatly, but still, the inability to contact one of the 2 remaining loyal Sannin was grating on his nerves. Imagine his surprise when the message from one of the daimyo's guards, saying that Tsunade attended the daimyo's birthday party, reached him. Worse yet, she was married to a foreigner. His heart almost stopped there, and then after reading it, Hiruzen needed 20 minutes to calm his erratic breathing which almost killed him through the sheer blood pressure. The only good thing about it was that Tsunade was barren, hence no new Senju would be coming out of her. Still, the problem of her husband inheriting the properties of the Senju clan after her death was an apocalyptic threat to Konoha. After all, the Senju clan owned all of the lands on which the village stood, and having it in the hands of a foreigner. Hiruzen shuddered at the implications while assassination plans started forming in his head. The foreigner would simply have to go. For the will of fire. Yes, Anko politely nodded, enjoying the distraught expression of the Hokage. Then why did you not bring Tsunade back to the village, Anko? Hiruzen asked, only barely managing to keep most of his frustration out of his tone. With all respect, I don't think I could have beaten Lady Tsunade. Anko shrugged. Even the Hokage could not punish her for that. She never received orders to apprehend Tsunade, after all. Hiruzen clearly knew that as his frown turned sour, partly at her uncaring answer, and partly at how disobedient Anko acted. She was always boisterous and had her own flair, but she never once acted disrespectfully toward him. She was too much in his grasp to act out. Further, it was mighty fishy that Anko acted like this after meeting Tsunade. It might be nothing, but still, Hiruzen was worried. I see. Is there anything else, Chunin Mitarashi? He concluded the debriefing, secretly deciding to assign some more watchers to the young Kunoichi. Anko noted his colder tone and the change in how he addressed her, but right now, she only found it funny. Tsunade didn't do much when it came to teaching her how to in the political field, but she made sure to hammer the basics of interaction with Hiruzen and what to look for. By now, Anko was sure she knew all his subtle tactics at manipulating her into feeling various ranges of emotions. This particular technique was one that should evoke inadequacy and spark in her guilt at being disrespectful to her superior, who was always kind to her. After all, he always called her Anko, which pointed out some sort of closeness between them. A bit colder tone and Chunin Mitarashi, is it? Anko's lips twitched. In fact, yes. Anko affirmed, causing Hiruzen to blink, not expecting an answer like this. I do have a letter from Lady Tsunade. She continued with a merry tone that made Hiruzen's eyebrow twitch, his expression as if screaming. Then why did you not bring it up sooner? Anko simply shrugged and slowly walked towards Hokage's table before putting a letter on it and stepping back. It wouldn't do to make quick movements. Not with her reputation in the village. Not with 4 ANBU on the ceiling. As Hokage reached towards the letter with a hopeful expression, no doubt wishing Tsunade would visit the village soon, Anko couldn't help but inwardly laugh her ass off. She knew what the letter said. After all, it was the payment Tsunade promised Anko. Oh, I can't wait to see the hope on his mug turn into stunned disbelief. Anko watched the Hokage with bated breath as his eyebrows furrowed in worry at the first sign of the Senju clan insignia on the letter. Outwardly, she was as cool as cucumber, completely impassive with a mild but restrained curiosity showing in her eyes. Exactly as an obedient ninja should look in front of his Hokage, whom he handed a secret missive. Inwardly, though? Inwardly, Anko was almost jumping from the sheer anticipation of Hiruzen's reaction. She was also very worried too. Tsunade warned Anko that she would have quite a few problems in the immediate future. Thankfully, she also gave her the necessary tools to mitigate most of it. While Anko was inwardly gloating, Hiruzen was looking at the insignia with hidden indignation, not liking where this was going. Tsunade, he knew, would never send him a letter marked like. This was not a letter from Tsunade Senju, but the clan head of the Senju clan. That really didn't put Hiruzen at ease. Nevertheless, inside of him a small hope that it would be just a declaration of her marriage and notice of her impending visit to Konoha sparked in his chest as he opened the letter and started reading. Hiruzen Sarutobi, in my capacity as the head of the Senju clan, I, Tsunade Senju, notify you that one, Anko Mitarashi, is from hence on a ward of the Senju clan. As such, I demand in my capacity as the head of the Senju clan, Anko's immediate discharge from the red list. Reading that, Hiruzen's stomach sank. He gave a tentative glance at Anko, noticing her dispassionate visage, and inwardly sighed, realizing she most likely already knew. As if acting clueless could fool him, he started reading again. Sarutobi, you will cease all attempts at manipulation, understood? You also will not assign any ANBU to watch her. I won't stand for such treatment of one of mine. At this part, Hiruzen winced. He already planned to have ANBU on Anko 24/7. She was Orochimaru's student and now had the zealous backing of the Senju clan. She just became one very dangerous girl. There was no way he could leave her unsupervised. Who knows what kind of mayhem she would have caused. Unfortunately for him, Hiruzen was aware that the second his ANBU were spotted by Anko, and he was sure they would have been spotted, she would inform Tsunade, and Tsunade would cause problems. Problems he did not need in the current political situation with Uchihas rearing their ugly heads. If you are worried about the snake summoning contract, know that I made damn sure to find out which of Anko's snakes are loyal to her and which are not. Right now, none of her summons are disloyal to her. I personally made sure of that. Oh, Tsunade is basically telling me there were some disloyal snakes in Anko's employ before she went through them. Hiruzen understood the hidden message. My husband, on the other hand, made sure to erase the curse seal on Anko's left shoulder. No longer do you and your old flunkies on the council have to fear Anko suddenly turning traitor because of that. Meaning, I don't want to hear even one word about her not being trustworthy. Just try to manipulate the council in this direction. Hiruzen, I dare you. I will raise hell. And just like that, all plans of discrediting the new ward of the Senju clan crashed in front of Hiruzen's eyes. So far, Hiruzen wasn't worried. Sure, Anko gained some political clout. She also gained a reason to distrust him. And she would most likely ever so slightly slip his manipulations. But he always had the option of citing her curse seal to get her in line. Now though, Hiruzen's eyes snapped at Anko's left shoulder, making her instantly aware of which part of the letter he was currently at. She really couldn't help but give him a genuine smile and enjoy as he winced. Tsunade told her that even Danzo would most likely lay off her case now that there was no possibly mind-controlling seal on her. That day, Rei truly became one of Anko's heroes and her loyalty became ironclad, if not very well hidden fanatical one. After all, he pulled a piece of Orochimaru's soul out of her. Anko was still shuddering at that thought. Hiruzen, with his plans regarding Anko now completely ruined, continued to read, somewhat miffed but still mostly okay. After all, Anko was still not all that important in the grand scheme of things. Sure, she could make some waves in the village now, but he decided to let Tsunade have her way. It would be infinitely worse if the waves came from the head of the Senju clan rather than an unimportant ward of the said clan. On another, more important note, I am fine with you overseeing the lands of Konoha in my stead. Reading that sentence, Hiruzen stilled, his face becoming white as snow. She knows, he thought in untold horror. That said, I will make use of my right to demand changes if I deem them right, and I will expect you to respect my wishes. The lands on which Konoha is standing are mine. There won't be any argument if I decide to change something. It is my right. Such are my demands in accordance with my rights as the head of the Senju clan and the laws of Konoha. If you, for any reason, decide to impede my birthright any further, I will make sure to complain to the daimyo. Don't misunderstand. Hiruzen Sarutobi. I am perfectly aware of what that would mean for Konoha and the Sarutobi clan, and I already made sure the daimyo is fully willing to go along with that. P.S. Make sure you remember that, old man. I had a nice long chat with Toyotomi about these things, and I must say, I am not amused. In fact, I am furious. Don't give me a reason to lash out, because I am not trusting myself from keeping calm enough to not cause a disaster for you. Tsunade Senju, the head of the Senju clan, the founding clan of Konoha. Hiruzen gazed at the letter with unblinking, empty eyes, not knowing if he should be glad or worried. On one hand, Tsunade gave him permission to oversee the lands of Konoha, meaning she was not really interested in them. On another, he was regaled to a glorified manager for her. Arguably, he was always that, but now he had somebody looking over his shoulder. The real problem was the threat Tsunade used, and that she didn't mention only him, but also the Sarutobi clan. Hiruzen could already see it. A dispute between him, the Hokage who got the village through 2 shinobi wars, and the Senju clan backed by the daimyo. It would simply cause a civil war, as people would start taking sides. For one, Hiruzen had no illusions about whose side would Danzo join. And there were many clans who didn't exactly trust him. Heck, even Uchihas would most likely join the Senju clan if it came to that. Hiruzen had to accept that his pupil decided to have her way, or start a civil war. Why would she be so sure it would lead to a civil war, though? Hiruzen asked himself. Suddenly, his eyes widened as a realization hit him. He hastily read through the last 2 paragraphs. His heart almost stopped when he finally understood. She knows about her right to become a daimyo of Konoha if the council is corrupted. Panic gripped him. He knew well just how corrupt the current council was. As unsettling thoughts swirled through his head, Hiruzen suddenly heard Anko clear her throat. You are dismissed, Chunimitarashi, he distractedly said, not paying her much attention. Anko nodded and turned on her heel, leaving the room. All according to Lady Tsunade's plan. The old man is far too preoccupied with the realization that Tsunade, someone who is not even in the village, can cause mayhem, and completely disregarded me. Someone who is inside the village, and on the payroll of Tsunade. Time to do my job, I guess. She inwardly shook her head in bemusement, and went on her merry way to finish the first stage of Tsunade's plan. Anko wearily walked through the streets of Konoha on her way to her most favorite dango shop in the village. She desperately needed some unwinding, and there was no better way to accomplish that than getting stuffed with the food of gods. When she arrived in the village, it was barely lunchtime, but now, it was already late evening and Anko could only grumble that visiting several clan heads took her so much time. Alas, if she wanted everything to go smoothly, she needed to deliver a few messages from Tsunade before Hiruzen got his head out of his ass, and stopped focusing on Tsunade, who is currently unreachable. Anko simply needed to cover all her bases and safeguard her position. God, how I hate politics. Anko mentally whined as she sat at the table near a window and ordered her favorite flavors of dango before starting to remember her tiring day. Her very first visit was to Shikaka Nara. This was not a coincidence. Tsunade made sure to choose who to visit first properly. Shikaka Nara seemed to be deep within the Hokage's backside. He was the Jonin commander, and that meant something. He was one of the most trusted aides of the Hokage in the shinobi matters. Hence, Enko was really surprised when Tsunade wanted her to visit the man first. Now, that meeting shook Enko to her core. Tsunade didn't explain much about clans, but the letter she handed over to Shikaku must have requested an explanation for her if the annoyed and half-whining look the half-asleep man shot her was any indication. And so, Enko got to know exactly how deep the politics in Konoha reached. The position of the Jonin commander was the dream of many ninjas in the village. Tough luck though, since as it appears, only a Nara could ever be appointed as such. The Hokage only made a show of the appointment to keep the masses dreaming as a motivation for improvement. Really, how Narish to make a backroom deal with the first Hokage to safeguard a good, well-paying job where the most required thing is good strategic thinking. It actually makes a whole lot of sense considering the job is very easygoing in times of peace. A perfect place for napping the day off while being as important as it gets. Enko snickered. The actual damn thing was apparently written in the more obscure laws of the village. A very serious set of requirements had to be met for a non-Nara to become a Jonin commander, one of which would be no available Nara of Jonin level strength smart enough to fill the position. Hence, no matter what Hiruzen did, he had to appoint Shikaku into the position and thus, being a Jonin commander didn't really show that the Hokage trusted you. Apparently, that was the whole reason why Danzo didn't get the job. Because of these backroom deals with Hashirama Senju, however, the Nara clan was an ally of the Senju clan. The clan head of the Senju clan requested the Nara clan to support Enko. Shikaka simply had to do so to honor the alliance. A good thing that Naras didn't bother with politics beyond what was necessary because they found them boring. The danger of being backstabbed by a Nara, or them not honoring an alliance, was almost nil. With a Nara clan on board, Enko had an easy time persuading the Akimichi clan. If instant agreement the second they got to know the stance of the Nara clan, and an invitation to dinner could even be called persuading. Enko had to shake her head in amusement at the Akimichi clan. Maybe if she pulled her head out of her ass when she was younger and approached one of these big-boned people instead of feeling pity for herself, she would actually find real friends. The Yamanaka clan had also easily agreed to give his support to her. Not like the man had any other choice, since both the Akimichi and Nara clans already made their stance clear. The Yamanakas were the most neutral clan in the list of people Enko had to approach, but Tsunade showed her cunning by ordering Enko to deal with Naras and Akimikis first. Now, if Inoichi did something different, it could potentially make his clan stand against his longtime allies in the village, which wouldn't be good for him or the clan. Neutral or not, his side was chosen for him before Enko even knocked on his door. And that led Enko's mind to reminisce about her last visit. The Hyuga clan. Yes, much to her eternal horror, it was these white-eyed assholes who were the closest supporters of the Senju clan. Or, at the very least, who had to lose the most if they didn't support the Senju clan. Apparently, the Hyuga clan businesses were very dependent on the Senju clan businesses. In short, the Hyuga clan patriarch looked almost constipated after Tsunade pulled this card on him. Knowing how legendary their arguments in the council room were during the Third Ninja War, Enko could see that the man didn't expect Tsunade to know about how much influence she had over him and his clan. After all, even if the Senju clan owned the businesses supporting their own, Tsunade did not attend to the day-to-day matters and never showed any knowledge or interest in them. At best, she received her cut and let the businesses run themselves. Enko could see the gears in Hayashi's head running and the utter bewilderment that Tsunade actually knew something about her family finances other than spending the seemingly unending supply of money flowing into her family accounts. The man sat motionless opposite Enko, staring in shock at the letter from Tsunade for 10 whole minutes after reading it. Naturally, it wouldn't do for assholes to deal with easy problems the easy way. Even someone like Enko, someone hopeless in economy and running of a clan, knew the Hyugas had no other choice than to give their full support behind Tsunade on her whim. The second Hayashi spotted the special seal of the Senju clan head on the letter. It was as good as an order from Tsunade, someone who could ruin many of their businesses. It wasn't even that Tsunade asked much of the Hyuga clan. Just show of support which would essentially cost them nothing. So, what did the cold-faced bastard do? He naturally called a meeting of elders and dragged Enko straight into it. An issue that could be resolved in 20 minutes tops, and that was when Enko accounted for Hayashi's 10 minutes long shock state, was now stretched to 3 hours of debating between elderly men. Yeah, Enko had had enough of living by the time she left the Hyuga compound with a ringing headache. Is it any wonder she needed her daily dose of dango thrice over after such a nightmare? Worse yet, I'll have to babysit the white-eyed princess for their support? How the heck did that happen? Shit, Lady Tsunade will be so disappointed in me for letting them have their way and get compensation for her demands. Enko mentally whined. She knew that promising something in return for their support would show weakness they would no doubt try to exploit later, but she was just so damn tired of all the pointless talking. In hindsight, she fell right into that trap. She should have refused to attend and demanded an answer from Hayashi. Even giving him time to consider it would be a nice power move, showing she had everything under control. It wasn't like the Hyuga clan could refuse.
But no.
She just had to do the stupid thing and let them challenge her patience. A battle she disgracefully lost and promised to train young Hinata in return for their support. It was then that a commotion outside the dango shop caught Enko's attention. Naruto Uzumaki was sitting on the ground with an angry shopkeeper hurling insults at the boy before huffily turning on his heel and stomping his way back to his shop. Shrugging, Enko started tiredly munching on her dango without any real excitement. Ma. The brat endured years of ridicule. He can endure 2 more days.